Hi, project managers. A few months ago, I told you about RAID framework, what it is and how to use it for project risk management inside Jira. Today, I want to tell you a little bit about why risk registers oftentimes do not work and how RAID can help you, especially if you have it inside Jira. Let's be honest, most risk registers don't actually manage risks. They just exist, they are reviewed maybe once a month, and then they quietly just rot in the spreadsheet where you put them. The problem isn't usually that teams do not care about risks. The problem is that risk registers are often disconnected from the real work, updated too late, or treated as a reporting exercise instead of a decision-making tool. In this video, I want to show you why most risk registers fail, what you can do about it, and most importantly, how the RAID framework, when implemented properly in Jira, turns risk management into something more operational. A framework that you can use for thinking about risks, assumptions, dependencies, and issues. But let's start with what usually goes wrong. Most risk registers fail for three reasons. First, they are tracked in isolation. They're just lists, no links to assumptions, issues, or dependencies. Second, risks are not connected to your work. Have you seen a risk register where in the risk mitigation it just says monitor and nothing actually happens? This is a huge problem. And third, everything lives in a spreadsheet, which means it's manual, it's outdated the moment you export it, and it has absolutely no relationship with what the team is actually doing. So the register itself looks fine, right? But it does not prevent surprises. And this is where RAID is often misunderstood. RAID is not a better spreadsheet or a more detailed risk log. It is a complete thinking framework that helps you understand your risks, things that might go wrong in your project or in your organization, assumptions, what we are betting on that everything will work, issues, obstacles that we're already having, and dependencies. What are the things we rely on but do not really control that gives us this, we will manage, we'll do, this project will succeed. And RAID only works if those things, those four items that we have, risks, assumptions, dependencies, and issues, are visible, they are connected to each other and to the actual work that you're doing, and they are linked into these action items. And that is why Jira itself, where you have all the work that everybody in your team is doing, is such a perfect fit for RAID. Now, let's look at how this works in practice. I'll walk through RAID in Jira using the same setup as in my earlier video, but this time I'll focus more on what makes it actionable, not just how to set it up. So here we see risks and dependencies in my risk project in Jira, where risks are no longer just a list of things. They are each one of them a Jira issue or a work item. And each issue has an owner who stays on top of this risk. It has a clear description of each risk. And because it is a risk, it's tied to a risk model. Therefore, you can assess it with an impact and probability, giving you a risk score. And most importantly, it is linked to risk mitigation actions that you actually can work on. And this already fixes one big problem. Risks are no longer noted, they are owned. And this is really important. The second item, assumptions. These are the silent risk drivers. We have a register for assumptions inside our risk solution. And in here, we can track assumptions explicitly, what most teams do not actually do with assumptions. They live just in people's heads. But here, assumptions are visible. For example, we expect that the QA team is allocated 100% during final integration and release testing, and things that we are betting on, things that we need for this project to succeed. In Jira, these assumptions, each one has an owner, they are reviewed, and when they fail, they become risks or issues and can be tracked. And this alone removes a huge source of surprise in risk management. Next, we have issues, things that are obstacles today and can turn or escalate into risks. The key point is that risks do not actually come out of nowhere. They are issues first. And that's why issues are important to be managed. The issues themselves can come from wrong assumptions or unmanaged dependencies. And if you have an issue, we can already know what action to take when it escalates into a risk. And this is how you can keep unpleasant surprises from happening. Each issue has their own owner and a resolution plan should they actually be realized. And finally, dependencies. Dependencies have their own life cycle, a little bit like risks, and they're often the most ignored part of risk management in RAID. They're also the most dangerous RAID element because they are external and they are oftentimes outside of our control. Yet when we stay on top of them, when we explicitly have them linked to their owners and tracked over time, we can make sure that we know if and when they turn into issues. And this is where risk management becomes much more than just guesswork. So let's pause here for a second and think about how RAID in Jira compares to a traditional risk register in a spreadsheet. We have a static list of risks that is reviewed monthly, is detached from actual work, and that usually creates over-optimistic reporting as if everything is great. While with your RAID inside Jira, your risk register turns into a living system that is updated continuously, where each risk is owned by somebody and is linked to the real tasks. This provides an honest signal to risk and project managers when dependencies are slipping, issues are escalating, or assumptions are proving wrong. And the difference is simple. RAID in Jira doesn't just record risk, it changes the behavior. If your risk register feels heavy but ineffective, the problem isn't probably RAID. It is where and how you're using it. RAID works when your risks are connected to your work, assumptions are explicit, issues are traceable, and dependencies are visible. And Jira gives you that without extra process. If this resonates with you, you're probably already doing most of this work, but it's not just yet connected. If you want to discuss where your risk register lives today and what usually breaks first, book a call with us and we'll show you how RAID works better for you when it is set up inside Jira. Thanks so much for listening and good luck with your project and risk management.